CHOPIN by Anne Racklin, illustrated by Susan Hellard. Stand up, Frederick. Shake hands with Mr. Zivney. He's your new piano teacher. Nicholas Chopin's voice was kind but firm, and his little 6-year-old son jumped to his feet. He loved playing the piano. His mother had been giving him music lessons since he was 3. But now here was his new teacher. What would he be like? Frederick held out his hand and looked at Albert Zivney. What a strange-looking man. He had a huge purple nose, and as he smiled as the little boy, Frederick saw that some of his teeth were missing. On his head was an untidy blonde wig, which had slipped to one side. He wore yellow trousers and a yellow coat, but they were different yellows. Frederick tried hard not to laugh when he saw Mr. Zivney's big boots. This curious man used his boots as a purse, and there was money sticking out of the top. Mr. Zivney took off his frayed old cloak and sat down at the side of the piano. "All right, Frederick," he said, "let me hear you play." Frederick soon forgot how odd his teacher looked, for his music lessons were fascinating. He even got used to the strange smells. Mr. Zivney took snuff and scattered the strong powder everywhere, in his boots, on his cravat, and especially on his vest. Mr. Zivney didn't believe in bathing either. On hot days, he rubbed himself down with vodka. Frederick adored Mr. Zivney. The boy was 6 years old and his teacher 60, but they were soon firm friends. It seemed to the Chopins that Frederick's music lessons never ended, for Mr. Zivney was so pleased with the little boy's progress that he stayed for hours, eating most of his meals with the family. As soon as each meal was over, Frederick raced back to the grand piano. Frederick had 3 sisters, Louise, Isabella, and Amelia. Their father was French. He had traveled to Poland as a young man and was now housemaster of a boarding school in the Casimir Palace. His wife, Justina, was the housekeeper and looked after the pupils. It was vacation time, and Frederick was curled up in a chair with a piece of chocolate and a book. "Father said we are going to the woods today," announced Louise. Frederick loved going to the woods. It only took 15 minutes by carriage. Soon they were there, picking strawberries and hunting for mushrooms. One evening, Frederick was reading aloud to the family when Mr. Zivney strode into the house. "Guess what I've got here," he said. With a flourish, he pulled out a printed sheet of music. Mr. Chopin leapt up and took a look. "Why, Frederick," he exclaimed, "it's your Polish dance. It says Polonaise in G minor by Frederick Chopin." His father was beaming with pride. Soon, everyone in Warsaw was talking about the little Chopin boy, only 7 years old and composing. There was even an article in the Warsaw Review about him. It said, "The composer of this Polish dance is the son of Nicholas Chopin, who teaches French and literature at the Lyceum School. The boy, who is only 7, is a real musical genius. Not only does he play the most difficult piano pieces, but he also composes dances in a most outstanding way." Now every day brought invitations. Mr. Zivney boasted to everyone about his clever pupil and made sure that all the important families in Warsaw read the newspaper article. Soon every princess and countess wanted little Frederick to play at their parties. Mr. Chopin and Mr. Zivney accompanied Frederick, who was not shy at all. He enjoyed playing for the elegant ladies. Just before his 8th birthday, Frederick gave his first concert in public. It was February 24th, 1818. Wrapped in their beautiful cloaks, the most important people in Warsaw arrived by sleigh at the Radziwill Palace. Everyone clapped their hands as Frederick, dressed in a black velvet jacket with a huge white lace collar and short trousers with white stockings, walked onto the stage. Frederick's fingers flew over the keys. The music by the Polish composer Gyrowitz was very difficult, and the audience listened spellbound. At the end, they jumped to their feet and applauded. Frederick slid off the piano stool and bowed. When he arrived home, his mother asked, "How did you get on, Frederick? What did they like best?" "The white collar you made for me," came the unexpected reply. At that time, the Grand Duke Constantine ruled over Poland. He came from Russia and was a very cruel and bad-tempered man. Everyone was frightened of him. Sometimes he would leap into his carriage and race through the streets of Warsaw, firing his pistol into the air. The Grand Duke heard about Frederick and often sent his carriage to bring the little boy to the Belvedere Palace to play for him. Sometimes the Grand Duke was in a terrible rage when Frederick arrived, but as soon as the boy began to play the piano, the Duke would calm down, soothed by the music. Frederick often composed while he was playing for the Grand Duke. One day he began to create a new piece, his eyes raised to the ceiling. "What are you looking up there for?" barked the irritable Duke. "Are the notes written on the ceiling?" Frederick took no notice and continued composing. The piece that Frederick was composing was a military march. The Grand Duke began to relax. Soon he was smiling. Then there he was, marching up and down the drawing room, beating time to the music. "Left, right, I like this march," he sang. He gave orders for it to be arranged for a huge military band. Frederick was very proud when he saw the soldiers marching to his music. Frederick was very thin, and the doctor decided that he should have a vacation in the country. Dominic, one of his school friends, invited him to stay in a lovely country village northwest of Warsaw. Instead of sending letters home, Frederick wrote a newspaper describing all his vacation adventures. The newspaper was called the Village Courier. A page from the Village Courier. "We heard some important news today. The turkey laid its eggs behind the pantry. Yesterday, the cat crept into a cupboard and broke a bottle of fruit juice. Luckily, it was the smallest bottle. Today, one of the hens has gone lame, and a drake had a fight with a goose." Frederick Chopin could draw almost as well as he could play the piano. One day during a lesson at school, Frederick passed around his drawing of the teacher. It was a cartoon that made the master look very ugly. "Give me that piece of paper! Who drew this?" The teacher was angry. Frederick confessed and expected to be punished. But later that evening, the drawing was returned with the words, "Well drawn," on the back. Frederick Chopin became a great pianist and composed some of the most important music for the piano, including 27 etudes, 25 preludes, 19 nocturnes, 52 mazurkas, 4 impromptus, and 2 piano concertos. Some of his pieces had nicknames. The Minute Waltz was supposed to describe a dog chasing its tail. The Raindrop Prelude sounds like the pitter-patter of the rain on the roof. The Cat Waltz recalls the day when Chopin's cat jumped onto the keyboard and ran up and down the keys. Thank you for listening.